When I accepted the job, I thought I was stepping into a normal office with strict rules and high pay. I was wrong. Very wrong. The building had no sign. The guards did not smile. Every door closed with a heavy sound that stayed in my head long after I passed through it. On my first day, I learned one truth very fast. This place did not forgive mistakes. I was standing by my desk when the message came. It was short. It had no greeting and no explanation. "I want you in the playroom in 15 minutes, said the Korean Mafia boss. My hands became cold. I did not know what the playroom was, but everyone around me went quiet when they heard the word. No one explained. No one warned me. They only looked at me with eyes full of fear and curiosity. I was his new assistant. I was supposed to manage schedules and files. I was not supposed to feel my heart beat this fast. I was not supposed to wonder why his voice stayed in my mind longer than it should. That walk to the playroom changed my life. It pulled me into a world of power, danger, secrets, and a feeling I never planned to have. If you enjoy dark romance, crime, and emotional tension, make sure to subscribe now so you do not miss the next part of this story. My name is Anna, and before that day, my life was simple. I worked hard, paid my rent, and stayed invisible. I believed staying unnoticed was the safest way to live. That belief ended the moment I walked into the CO Group building. The interview was strange. No personal questions. No smiles. Only one man asking if I could keep secrets and follow orders without hesitation. I said yes because I needed the job. I did not know those words would follow me into every dark corner of my new life. Alan was the first person to speak to me after I was hired. He was tall, calm, and always watching. His eyes missed nothing. "You do what you are told," he said quietly. "And you do not ask why." I nodded. I thought he was exaggerating. I was wrong. The building worked like a living thing. Each floor had a purpose. Each room had rules. The higher you went, the quieter it became. The top floors felt heavy, like the air itself was listening. I had not met the boss yet. People did not say his name often. When they did, their voices lowered. I only knew he was young, powerful, and feared. Some said he built the organization with his mind. Others said with his cruelty. No one agreed, but everyone obeyed. When the message came, Alan looked at me for a long moment. "You should go," he said. "What is the playroom?" I asked. He paused. "A place where decisions are made." That answer did not help. I walked down the long hallway alone. The walls were dark wood. The lights were soft but cold. Each step felt louder than the last. I kept telling myself to breathe, to stay calm, to remember this was just a job. The door to the playroom was larger than the others. 2 guards stood still on each side. They opened the door without looking at me. Inside, the room surprised me. It was not loud or chaotic. It was quiet and clean. A large table stood in the center. Screens covered one wall. Bookshelves filled another. It looked like a place for thinking, not playing. He stood near the window. He did not turn when I entered. He spoke first. "You are late by 1 minute." "I am sorry," I said quickly. "Time matters here," he replied. When he turned, I finally saw him clearly. His face was calm. His eyes were sharp but not angry. He looked at me like he was reading a page already familiar to him. "You are Anna," he said. "Yes." You were hired because you observe well and speak little. I nodded again. Sit. I sat across from him, my back straight, my hands folded tight. My heart would not slow down. This room tests people, he said. Not with pain, with truth. I did not answer. Do you fear me? He asked. I wanted to lie. I did not. Yes, I said. A small smile appeared on his face. Not cruel. Not kind. Just honest. Good, he said. Fear keeps people alive. Silence filled the space between us. I felt like he could hear my thoughts. You will work closely with me, he continued. Closer than the others. I looked up, surprised. You will see things you cannot unsee, he said. And you will feel things you should not feel. My chest tightened at those words. If you fail, he added, you leave quietly. If you succeed, you become part of this world. I should have walked away. I should have said no. Instead, I said, I will do my best. His eyes stayed on mine longer than necessary. In that moment, something shifted. It was not trust. It was not fear alone. It was something dangerous and confusing. Good, he said again. We will begin soon. As I left the playroom, my legs felt weak. Alan waited outside. You survived, he said. I did not feel like I had. That night, I could not sleep. His voice replayed in my mind. His eyes followed me even in the dark. I told myself it was just tension, just fear. But deep inside, I knew the truth. This was not just a job anymore. And he was not just my boss. The next morning, I arrived earlier than required. The building was quieter at that hour, like it was still asleep. I thought coming early would calm my nerves. It did not. Every step reminded me that I had crossed into a place that would not let me leave easily. Alan met me near my desk. He handed me a tablet and a thin file. You start today, he said. I started yesterday, I replied. He shook his head. Yesterday was observation. Today is loyalty. That word stayed with me as I followed him to the upper floors. We stopped outside a private office. The guards opened the door without asking questions. He was already inside. The boss stood near the table, reviewing documents. He did not look up when we entered. Leave us, he said to Alan. Alan bowed slightly and walked out. The door closed behind him. The sound felt final. You are early, the boss said. I wanted to be prepared, I answered. He looked at me then. His gaze was calm, but it carried weight. I felt like he could see every thought I tried to hide. Prepared people survive longer, he said. Sit. I sat where I had the day before. This time, I noticed small details. The way he held his pen. The silence he allowed before speaking. Nothing about him felt rushed. You will handle my private schedule, he said. Not the one the public sees. The real one. I nodded. Yes. You will hear conversations not meant for you. You will read messages not meant to exist. I understand. He leaned back slightly. Do you? I hesitated. I will learn. That seemed to please him. He slid a folder across the table. Inside were names, locations, times. Some places I recognized. Others I did not. Nothing explained what the meetings were about. You do not ask about this, he said. You only make sure it runs smoothly. Yes. If anyone approaches you with questions, he added, you tell me. I felt a chill. Even Alan? A pause. Short. Heavy. Especially Alan, he said. That was the moment I realized how deep this world went. Trust was not given. It was tested again and again. As the hours passed, I worked beside him. I learned his habits. He disliked noise. He disliked excuses. He noticed everything. Once, I corrected a time error before he spoke. He looked at me, surprised. You pay attention, he said. I was trained to, I replied. Where? Life, I said honestly. For a brief second, his expression softened. Then it was gone. At lunch, I expected to leave. He did not dismiss me. You will eat here, he said. Food arrived quietly. No one else joined us. We ate in silence. I felt strange sitting across from him like this, sharing a simple moment that felt too normal for a man like him. You are not like the others, he said suddenly. I froze. Is that a problem? It is a risk, he replied, and sometimes a strength. I did not know how to respond, so I stayed quiet. After lunch, he tested me. He made phone calls and watched my reactions. He asked questions with hidden meanings. He changed plans at the last minute to see if I would panic. I did not. Not because I was brave, but because something inside me refused to show weakness in front of him. Late in the afternoon, he stood and walked to the window. The city stretched below us, bright and distant. Do you know why I called you to the playroom yesterday? He asked. No. He turned slightly. Because I needed to see your eyes when you were afraid. My breath caught. Fear shows truth, he continued. You did not beg. You did not lie. You did not pretend. I swallowed. Was that enough? For now, he said. As the day ended, I packed my things. My body felt tired, but my mind was awake in a way it had never been before. You may go, he said. I stood. Thank you. He watched me walk to the door. Anna, he called. I turned. Do not let this place change who you are, he said. The words surprised me more than any threat could have. That night, I thought about him again. Not his power. Not his fear. His warning. The next days followed a pattern. Work. Silence. Tests. I became his shadow. People noticed. Whispers followed me in the hallways. Some looked at me with envy. Others with pity. Alan became distant. He spoke less. Watched more. One evening, I stayed late to finish a report. The building was nearly empty. I heard voices from the playroom. I was not meant to listen. I stopped anyway. You trust her too much, Alan said. She has earned her place, the boss replied. She is new. So was I once, the boss said calmly. There was a pause. She could be used against you, Alan said. Another pause. Longer. That will not happen, the boss said. I stepped away before they noticed me. My heart raced. Not from fear, but from something else. Something warm and dangerous. The next morning, everything changed. I arrived to find security doubled. The air felt tight. Alan pulled me aside. There was a breach, he said. Information leaked. My stomach dropped. From where? He looked at me. That is what we are finding out. I was escorted to the playroom. The boss stood at the table, his expression unreadable. "Sit," he said. I did. "Someone betrayed us," he said. "Information only 3 people had." I knew then. Him. Alan. Me. My chest felt heavy. "You will answer honestly," he said. "Your future depends on it." I opened my mouth to speak. The door opened. And everything stopped. The door opened slowly, and a man I had never seen before walked in. He was older, with sharp eyes and a calm face. He moved like someone who belonged in places others feared. "This is Director Kong," the boss said. "He handles internal matters." Director Kong looked at me without emotion. "Sit still," he said. I was already sitting, but my body stiffened. The room felt smaller with him inside it. "We will start again," the boss said. "Anna, tell us everything you did yesterday." I took a breath and spoke clearly. I described my work hour by hour. The calls I scheduled. The messages I forwarded. The files I touched. I did not leave out a single detail, even the moments that made me unsure. Director Kong listened without interrupting. Alan stood against the wall, his face unreadable. When I finished, the room went quiet. "You made no outside contact," Director Kong said. "No," I replied. "You did not copy files," he continued. "No." He nodded slowly and turned to the boss. "Her actions are clean." Relief washed over me, but it did not last. "That does not mean she is safe," Alan said. "Intent matters." The boss looked at Alan. "Say what you mean." Alan stepped forward. "She is becoming close. That creates weakness." I felt something tighten inside me. Not fear. Hurt. The boss did not raise his voice. "Closeness does not equal betrayal." "It can," Alan replied. "You know that better than anyone." The silence between them was heavy. It felt like history sat in the room with us. Director Kong spoke again. "The leak came from outside this floor. Someone used partial information and filled in the rest." The boss nodded. "Then we hunt the source." His eyes returned to me. "You will stay." Alan's head turned sharply. "That is not wise." "It is my decision," the boss said. Alan said nothing more. I was dismissed shortly after. As I walked out, my legs felt weak. The door closed behind me, but the tension followed. Later that night, I was called back. The playroom lights were dimmer than before. The city outside the window glowed softly. "You handled yourself well today," the boss said. "I was telling the truth," I replied. "That is why you are still here," he said. I hesitated, then spoke. "Does it bother you that people think I am a weakness?" He studied me. "Do you think you are?" "I think I am human," I said. For the first time, he smiled fully. Not cold. Not sharp. Just real. "So am I," he said quietly. The words surprised me. They stayed in the air between us. "You should leave early tonight," he added. "Get rest." I stood. "Thank you." As I turned to go, he spoke again. "Anna." I faced him. "Do not let anyone decide who you are here," he said. "Not even me." That night, I realized something I had been avoiding. I cared about what he thought. And that scared me more than this place ever could. The next days were tense. The leak investigation continued. People disappeared from their desks. No explanations were given. Alan barely spoke to me now. When he did, his tone was distant. One evening, he stopped me near the elevator. "You should be careful," he said. "About what?" I asked. "About him," Alan replied. "This world destroys people who matter to him." I held his gaze. "You sound like you are speaking from experience." His jaw tightened. "I am." The elevator doors opened. I stepped inside, his words following me down. That night, I was called again. Not to the playroom. To the rooftop. The air was cool. The city lights spread endlessly. He stood near the edge, hands in his pockets. "I come here to think," he said without turning. "It is quiet," I replied. "Yes," he said. "And honest." We stood in silence. It did not feel uncomfortable. "Why did you choose me?" I asked finally. He looked at me. "Because you still see people, not power." "And you?" I asked. "What do you see?" He met my eyes. "Someone who reminds me of who I was before this life." My chest tightened. "That is dangerous," I said softly. "Yes," he agreed. Neither of us stepped closer. We did not need to. The space between us held more than words. "I will protect you as long as I can," he said. I nodded. "And when you cannot?" His voice was quiet. "Then I will make sure you are strong enough to survive without me." In that moment, I understood the truth. This was not a simple romance. It was a collision of power and feeling. And it would cost something. As I left the rooftop, alarms sounded below. The breach had escalated. And this time, it was personal. The alarms echoed through the building, sharp and urgent. Red lights flashed in the hallways as people moved with fast and controlled steps. No one panicked. Panic was not allowed here. I was escorted back inside. The boss was already issuing orders. His voice was calm, steady, like the noise around us did not exist. "They are trying to force a reaction," he said. "We do not give them one." Director Kong appeared beside him, speaking quietly. Alan stood a short distance away, his expression hard. "The source has been identified," Director Kong said. "A supplier working with an outside group." "Bring him in," the boss replied. I stayed silent, watching. This was his world. I was only allowed to stand in it. Hours later, the building returned to its quiet state. The threat was contained. No details were shared. They never were. I was called to the playroom one last time. The boss stood alone. The room felt different now. Not softer. Just honest. "It is over," he said. "For now." I nodded. "Am I still needed?" He looked at me carefully. "That depends on you." I stayed, I said. I told the truth. "You did," he agreed. "And you grew stronger." He walked closer, stopping at a respectful distance. His presence still made my heart beat faster, but now I understood why. "This place will never be safe," he said. "If you stay, your life will never be simple again." I took a breath. It already is not. A quiet moment passed. "I will not ask you to stay," he said. "And I will not stop you if you leave." I searched his face. For control. For command. I found none. "Why?" I asked. "Because if there is anything between us," he said slowly, It must be a choice. That word mattered. I thought of my old life. Quiet. Invisible. Safe. I thought of this place. Dangerous. Heavy. Real. I will stay, I said. Not for power. Not for fear. But because I had chosen to see him, and be seen in return. He nodded once. No smile. Just respect. Then we move forward, he said. Days turned into weeks. I learned more. I adapted. I survived. He never crossed a line. Neither did I. The tension stayed, unspoken but alive. It made us careful. It made us honest. Alan watched us from a distance. One evening, he spoke quietly. Be careful with him, he said. I am, I replied. And so is he. For the first time, Alan looked relieved. The playroom became less frightening. It was still a place of power, but also clarity. A place where truth mattered. Sometimes, late at night, we stood by the window and talked. About choices. About cost. About the people we had lost to this world. Nothing was promised. Nothing was taken. And somehow, that made it stronger. I did not know how this story would end. Love in this world never came without a price. But I knew this much. I was no longer invisible. He was no longer alone. And whatever waited ahead of us, we would face it with open eyes.